John, Derby's feet, can you get your overall assessment on that one, please?
Really disappointed with how we handled the first half. I thought we competed physically, especially in the first sort of 20 to 25 minutes. I thought they made a lot of errors, and I think we were forcing the errors upon them. But unfortunately, we backed up those errors. Especially when we had we didn't even really give ourselves a chance to play any football up their end of the field, because we dropped the ball early in the tackle count and made some sort of schoolboy errors, and then they got a bit of momentum, and look, they're leading the comp and they're undefeated for a reason. They came out of defending their line for a little bit. They scored a good try in the corner. I thought the try off the kick was a big turning point in the game. It was just one of those ones where it sort of landed. I don't think it was anyone's fault from us. I thought he sort of probably half hit the kick, and it landed in no man's land, and they got a good bounce. And that at 12-0, sort of all momentum was with them. They had a pretty strong breeze at their back, and they made us pay. They got their try long for half time, and 18-0 was always going to be a tough task.
Is there a sense of, I appreciate it's early on, but is there a sense of missed opportunity in the sense that there were moments to strike in that first half and the scoreline was 0-0, and if you iced them a bit better, you could have took the lead and talked about a different game now?
Yeah, I certainly think it was a missed opportunity. I thought, we just, like I said, you tend to threaten, when you get decent ball up their end, sort of play 4, play 5, play 6, and we didn't get that far into the tackle count, so it's hard to pressure teams when you make those errors early in the count. So we didn't threaten their defence. They kept their line scoreless, but it was a lot to do with just us not putting any pressure on them at all. I thought second half, I thought there were really good patches. We knew we had to play football to try and break them down, and I thought we threatened a lot in the second half. It was unfortunate. Unlike the Wigan game, we gave up a couple of tries early in the second half, and then it was all going to be all too hard. But very proud of them. They kept playing football. They kept being physical. And finished the game. I think at half time we said, look, let's try and win this second half and see where that takes us. And I think at the end of the second, they end up winning the second half. So finished the game on a positive. But I think we can take a lot out of it. I think we can fully start to believe that we're a side that is, they're the benchmark team in the comp at the moment. I think the players will get a lot of realisation out of that game that, they're not that far away.
Not a reality check, but sort of an acceptance that despite a good start, there's still a long way to go this year, is that fair to say? Oh yeah,
look mate, no one's getting carried away here, I promise you. We've got a really, really tough 3 weeks now. Every game's tough. We've got some injuries in the back row, which is really concerning. All our back rowers basically were on the sideline at the moment, so that's an area that's a key part of your defensive, of your defensive system. That's sort of the foreman's the middle guy. He's the link between your middles and your edge. So it's hard when you put makeshift guys in there. I thought Jack Ashworth did a pretty fair job. I think we had Jordan Rapana in there by the end of the game as well. So it was, we're going to have to do some thinking to come up with a team for next week.
Already without Jed Cartwright, already without Ollie Holmes, John Laird links off in the first half. You must be thinking, here we go again. What's the latest on him, please?
He's broke his arm, Jordan. So he'll be out for a while.
Straight to hospital then? Or?
Yeah. He got the X-rays back just then. He's got a broken arm.
Ed Chamberlain linked off in the second half.
Yeah, he's twisted a knee. It's not a ACL. Hoping just a minor medial, but we'll have a medical on Monday and we'll just go from there.
Brad Fash wasn't selected today. Was that injury also?
No, he tore a calf muscle at training yesterday, so it's another back rower. We'll be out for a little bit.
Do you know the extent of that at all? Or?
No, not yet. He's not good enough to play today. He was a captain's run yesterday. He just felt something pop, and he'll go for a ski Monday.
He debuted Will Price today. Obviously, only arrived in the country a couple of days ago. What did you think?
No, I thought he was great for us today. I thought he really challenged. He got the ball in his hands. For a guy that he's only had like a 20-minute session with the team yesterday, so I thought he handled himself really well. I think he's going to be a huge asset for the club.
What impressed you most about him today? Was it the attitude to actually step up in a big game?
Yeah, I think like 3 days off a plane. I think anyone that's travelled that route knows that it's a taxing thing to do, but to come out and play the way he did, confident. You know, your halves have got to be confident, and I thought he played full of confidence. He kicked when he had to. I thought he was very strong defensively. They targeted him pretty well on that edge. I thought he handled himself extremely well. I just liked his touches with the ball. You can see, you know, he's all class. So, you know, a bit of time around the group and you know, forming some combinations. Like I said, I think he's going to be a great asset for the club.
Speaking of positives, having SSA outstanding again, and you must be delighted with his form, but the fact he's tied down on a long-term deal as well.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You know, they're a physical side. You know, they play a bit different game to Wigan. Wigan's very expansive, but these guys, they come through you know, and they try and hurt you. And I thought, you know, our middles stood up really well. You know, when it was sort of, you know, when the possession was going sort of set for set, I thought our middles were, if anything, were starting to get a bit of ascendancy, you know, but it was just errors and gave them too much field position, free shots at us.
Finally, Warrington next week. Don't get any easier, does it, before Rovers again? So tough fixture list.
No, it's, you know, everyone, and I certainly had my heart set on the Challenge Cup, and I think all the players did. So we've got to put that aside now. You know, we're still sitting second in the Super League competition, so you know it's a tough trip, Warrington, and you know they've got a game this week, so it's a difficult sort of period to handle. It's one everyone wants to have, you know, like being alive in the cup, and also another eye on the Super League. But you know that's gone for us now, so it's, you know, we can just focus on the Super League.
Johnny, is recruitment an option with that back runner process with the loan move?
Yeah, it's something we're going to have to look at. It just, the stocks are really low. Hopefully Ed Chamberlain will be okay, but you know Ed's sort of been mostly playing in the centres, so it was all sort of a bit of we had to do a shuffle when Fashy pulled out yesterday, so we had to take him out of the centres and put him in the back row. But I thought Davey Litton was really strong tonight as well today. I thought he played with great enthusiasm. We'll have to check what's available, and first we'll get a check on Ed first too.
John, do you see anyone stopping Rovers this year? They've gone pretty close in recent seasons.
Yeah, look, the score. Look, they've got the advantage of having those big games under their belt, you know, and they'll be very hungry, I would imagine, you know, being so close over the last, you know, Challenge Cups and the Super League Grand Final. But I really thought that we, you know, that we showed that there are, you know, they're beatable. You know, they are beatable. I no doubt. You know, I think they're a very tough physical side, and you know what you're going to get when you play against them. But yeah, like I said to the players after the game, you know, they're the best team in the competition. That's got to give us lots of belief, because I thought we really competed and matched them for different periods of the game. We've got to be better, simple as that. But I thought physically, and that attitude that we've been talking about in the first part of the competition, have just never given up. You know, if we can just put a bit of polish with that, I think, we look forward to playing them again.
You'll have obviously learned a lot of lessons today from your first experience at the Hall Derby. You've got another one in 2 weeks. How good was today for that, moving forward, to think, well, we get another crack at these in 2 weeks' time? Yeah,
like as a spectator, I couldn't imagine going to a better event. You know, I love my rugby league, so I couldn't imagine going to a better event. It was like 2 games going on. There was one in the crowd and one on the field. The Reds got us today, crowd and on the field. But yeah, like you said, we got back here in 2 weeks. We look forward to it.
And obviously, looking at it from before, you know, one week you get well and truly thumped by Wigan, and then a few weeks later you've learnt lessons, you've gone there, you've beaten them. So there's something there moving forward for that next challenge, certainly. Yeah,
for sure. I thought this game was a bit closer than what the scoreboard said. You know, a lot of coaches probably say that. I thought, you know, when we played Wigan, we probably could have beat by 60, and I would have said that was a fair result. You know, I thought today, just a couple of decisions and bounces of the ball helped the score. We're never going to win the way we played, but I thought it probably helped the scoreline a little bit.